day 6 of the 31 days of BPD, and I'm going through the second point from the DSM, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for mental disorders. I'm going through number 2 of the 9 symptoms of BPD, and I will read it out to you, and then I will do my best to explain it for you to give you a better understanding. So let's just start, shall we? Okay, a pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships, characterised by alternating between extremes of idealisation and devaluation. So there's a few things in there. Let's break it apart. So I've talked previously in this series about the fact that BPD, you tend to have intense, unstable relationships. So unstable just means that it's in a state where it's not a comfortable state, it's not a steady state, it's very rocky, it's very unstable and unbalanced. So you might find that you pick relationships with people that maybe are unstable, or it might mean that you just keep going back to this pattern of behaviour where you constantly find friendships or relationships that are unstable, probably because of your upbringing. Maybe your relationships at home when you were growing up were unstable, and a lot of the behaviours that we pick up through our BPD are learnt behaviours from our childhood. So it might be that you had very unstable relationships in your life when you were younger, and it's meant that throughout your development and as you've grown up, you have carried on this pattern. So for me, for example, I used to go out with very, very unstable people. I have been in many unstable relationships, and this was again repeating that pattern. So it might be that you pick someone that's maybe dangerous or violent or abusive, because it stems from that sort of self-harm thing again. So you're trying to put yourself in danger, or just kind of like you don't really see that you're putting yourself in danger. You're not kind of going, I'm putting myself in danger, but something happens in your behaviour, your thoughts and your feelings that makes you kind of continue to go there. An intense relationship just means that you're very, very, you might be obsessed with that person. You might be really kind of like they're the one person for you. And I've done this. I meet new people and they become suddenly like my best friend, and I'm obsessed with them and I talk about them all the time, and I'm not able to keep this intensity up because it's not sustainable, just like an unstable relationship isn't sustainable. So I'm unable to keep this up, and then I end up kind of maybe losing friends because they suddenly think, oh, she's not being as intense, so maybe she doesn't like me, maybe I've done something wrong, and then we end up drifting apart. And this has happened with many of my relationships, especially my friendships over time. I know one of my friends I used to have, lovely girl, but I remember she used to be like, 1 minute someone's your best friend and someone else is your best friend, and a lot of people would say that I have go through these relationships where I'm just kind of like, oh, I love that person, and then I can't maintain that intensity because I think that they don't like me, and then we separate. But what does idealisation and devaluation mean? Well, what happens is, we're in these relationships, what will happen is 1 minute you maybe absolutely love this person, you idealize them, so you maybe put them on a pedestal, you think they're amazing, and again, this isn't sustainable, but they may then say something that upsets you, or triggers something, and you talk about triggers soon, that makes you behave in a really bad way, or makes you just kind of dislike them. So they may say something, comment on something. It might be something small, it could be something big. It could be small, something like, oh, you've done something different to your hair. Something big could be, I thought, when you were talking to me the other day, you were a bit off, or something like that. And I will suddenly be like, right, well, I don't like you. And I apologies, I really don't want to swear again, but I'm just going to say what I used to do. And when I was working, I would have many relationships with different colleagues and things like that, and different places that I've worked. But everywhere I worked, I would have a nice list and a shit list. Sorry about the swearing. And this list would change. One day someone would be on the nice list, and then they may say something, and then they go onto the shit list. So the devaluation is giving someone no value. You're taking your caring feelings away from them, and you're giving them nothing back. So like I say, you might actually really despise them, but then actually it can flip the other way. They may say something lovely, oh, you look really pretty today, and then they'll go on the nice list, and it's nothing to do with what people are saying. They're not actually being nice or being horrible. The way you're perceiving things, the way you are looking at things, makes you see them maybe as they have no value, when actually they may be trying to say something that maybe you don't want to hear, but maybe you need to hear it. I'd struggle with this a lot in my career, getting criticism, something that people with BPD don't really like getting, because they see it as an attack, they see it as something negative rather than something that could be positive. Although the word criticism, I don't see how that can be positive, but positive reinforcement would be the best way to say it. And yeah, so it's not the person's fault. The people who go on my nice list and my shit list, that's not their fault. That's just how I feel about them at that time. And it is horrible, because, you know, I end up, you know, spending time with someone that's been on my shit list for a while, and they'll do something and I think, oh, why was I so cruel to put them on that list? But this really happens. So you have real pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships, characterised by extremes of idealisation and devaluation. So who have you done this with? Do you do a nice list and a, let's say, naughty list, shall we? A nice list and a naughty list. Do you recognise any patterns in your behaviour from maybe unstable or intense relationships? Have you lost friendships to your BPD? Have you gained friendships from your BPD? I want to hear as much as you can about this subject in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, this has been day 6 of the 31 days of BPD. I hope that's been useful. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow for day 7.